Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Lola Yoshinaga. I'm part of the professional relations team at Delta Dental of Idaho. We're all obviously facing a very complicated and rapidly changing business environment. As business intervention programs are being rolled out by our government, navigating and understanding the financial and operational details are challenging and overwhelming to many of us. Delta Dental of Idaho is committed to helping our members understand these new programs and regulations so that you can make the best decisions for your business during this unusual and difficult time. This presentation will cover some options for you and your practice to consider. Delta of Idaho is currently offering two programs to assist our Idaho-based providers. The first program is the Advanced Claim Payment Program. This program is in advance of future claims that your office will be submitting to Delta Dental of Idaho. The maximum amount of the advance is $10,000. The amount is determined by the average monthly claims submitted to Delta of Idaho from January 1st through December 31st, 2019. Applications are being accepted through May 22nd, 2020. There is no interest rate on this advance. Repayment in the amount of a 15% claim withholding will commence on October 5th, 2020. This repayment will continue until the prepayment is satisfied. Balances remaining as of April 1st, 2021 will be due and payable as a final balloon payment. In order to be eligible to participate in the Advanced Claim Payment Program, the provider must operate under an Idaho-based tax ID number with Delta Dental of Idaho dentists. The office must be in good standing with no outstanding issues, such as administrative holds or reimbursement refunds owed to Delta of Idaho. The office must agree to participate in the following services by October 5th, 2020, if not doing so already, as listed below. Utilize electronic payments or deposits and billing programs, such as your bank's automated clearinghouse, also known as ACH. Electronic claim submission, either through the Delta Dental of Idaho website or through your practice management system. Access the benefits and eligibility features through the Delta Dental of Idaho secure web portal. The ProFax service may also be accessed by phone. Integrate the Health through Oral Wellness Program, also known as HOW, so that you may provide additional preventative care for your qualifying high-risk patients. This unique platform gives your practice the opportunity to deliver the additional covered services that the patient may need based on their oral health condition. And finally, the practice must continue to provide emergency services at a minimum. If your office would like to participate in the Advanced Claim Payment Program, the following documents will be required for processing. The first step is to complete an application. If you're unable to locate this application on our website, please feel free to email me at the email address you see on your screen. The second step, after verifying the application, is completing the authorizing resolution, advance payment agreement, and promissory note. Please do allow 7 to 10 days for processing after the second step is satisfied. The second program is the Personal Protection Equipment, also known as the PPE. The PPE reimbursement program that Delta Dental of Idaho is offering includes a reimbursement of $25 for a box of gloves, $20 for a box of masks, if they are donated to an organization in need. If you would like to donate any surplus that you may have in your office, please complete a form available to you upon request and submit the completed form to the email you see on your screen. An email with a link to the form describing this program was sent to dental offices on the afternoon of March 30th. Please make a note of the contacts that you see on the slide for future reference. The next portion of this webinar will be presented by Steve Soleil, founder and CEO of Ataraxis, a PEO or professional employer organization. Kylie would be your point of contact should you have any questions or desire additional information. We've asked Steve Soleil of Ataraxis to share his expertise with you. Steve has 20 plus years as an owner of multiple businesses in the insurance industry, process management, and human resource administration. In 2010, he was looking for a business partner to successfully outsource the management of HR, employee benefits, and payroll services. When he couldn't find a company that would truly partner with them for a full HR solution, Ataraxis was created. In the last 10 years, Ataraxis has grown into a regional PEO with clients based in 10 states and worksite employees in over 25 states. They work with small to large size companies across multiple industries and are the frontline support for their business clients as they work through the COVID-19 crisis. He's here to share his knowledge with you so that you'll be in a strong position to successfully manage your business through and after this crisis. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Lola. That was a very nice introduction. So the government has actually been trying to make sure that through this whole process that we are in a position to come through this challenging time with this pandemic in a good way for our businesses to be in a good place afterwards. So the first thing that they have is there's economic injury disaster loan programs through the SBA. These loan programs have been around for actually quite some time, but usually are for more weather and catastrophic events. This is the first time they've actually issued these across the entire nation, and everyone is eligible for them. So you could do a $10,000 small business grant. I've put the website address where you apply up on the screen, and everyone is eligible for the $10,000 small business grant, even if you don't take any additional loan. It is a grant and it will be forgiven. If you do need more money, whether it be for business-related expenses, rent, you can use it for payroll, but we'll talk about another payroll program in just a second. You can get up to $2 million in this loan. They are around a 3.5% to 4% interest rate, but it is not forgivable, and it has a 30-year term. So if you do need something and you need to refinance money for your practice, or you need something that will get you through the period while you don't have revenue, this is one way to do that. It's a good loan program, but it is something that does need to be repaid, except for the $10,000 grant. Teresa, go ahead and go to the next slide. So the government saw that there was a need to make sure that the employees were paid, and everybody's employees were paid through this time period while we were basically sitting at home, many of us, if we weren't in an essential business. So they passed the CARES Act, and one part of the CARES Act is the Paycheck Protection Program loans, or the PPP loans, as we're hearing it called. So any small business under 500 employees, and some other businesses over 500 employees, but for dental practices, any dental practice can apply for these loans. The way of how much you can request is it's going to be your average monthly payroll for 2019 times 2.5. So if you had $10,000 in payroll, you'd be able to get a loan for $25,000. You can include your owner pay and distributions, and many S Corp owners and LLC owners, and I know dentists don't take a paycheck, but they take a distribution. You can include these in the loan, but the one question is these are forgivable, and they're going to be forgivable if you use them for payroll. But for owner distributions and pay, it's not been fully clear as to how they will forgive those, or if they will forgive those. So what we're telling our owner clients is, if you're going to include it in the loan, make sure you understand the possibility exists that you may have to pay it back. Now, at least, as you can see below, the terms of these are a 2-year term for the balance of the loan that isn't forgivable, and it's at a 1% interest rate. There's no prepayment penalty to pay them off, so it's a very favorable loan, but I just want you to be aware that if it isn't forgivable, the owner distribution, it will need to be paid back. So you can apply by going to whatever financial institution that you work with. If they do SBA lending, then you can apply through them. You tell them you want a PPP loan application you'll get an application from them, and then there is payroll supporting documentation that they'll ask for. Every bank's a little bit different on what they're specifically asking for their own underwriting, but it will be a payroll report for the time period, and then also some supply or backup documentation like a W-3 or a 941 is what they're going to ask for. If there are any practices who just started up, since July 1st of 2019, so you weren't in business previous to June 30th, you can use January and February of 2020 as your payroll time period, and then all the other terms apply. Part of the forgiveness is going to be that you use at least 75% of the dollars that you get for payroll. You also have to have spent 8 weeks of payroll during the time period. So after you get the loan, you have to have 8 weeks of payroll. You also have to have all the employees employed on June 30th of this year. So understand that if you don't have everybody employed, so let's say you had 10 people and you only have 8, then you're only going to get 80% of the loan forgiven. So it is go down. If you don't have anyone employed still on June 30th, our understanding is none of it is forgiven. So you have to really be careful about how you're running this program and what you're doing. It can be a very good program for you to make sure that your people continue to be paid, even if they are working some. So let's say you got emergency services, you can use this program to pay all the wages for this time period, even to allow them to sit at home or to come back into the office and the practice for emergency things. So it's a really good program. Talk to your bank, your financial institution. If by chance your financial institution does not offer the PPP loans and is not part of the SBA program, please reach out to our company. We have established a relationship with another financial institution here that will actually get you the loan, and they have allowed us to put this out to Delta Dental members that need a financial institution. So please reach out to us if you can't get one through your own. Go ahead, Teresa, and go to the next slide. There are a few other resources that are coming out for the employees. One is expanded unemployment. Idaho, I believe this week, has just started using the additional money from the federal government. Now, it has been put out there by the federal government because they understand that normal unemployment probably doesn't cover a good portion of a lot of people's pay. The maximum in Idaho, for instance, for unemployment is around $450 a week. You will normally on unemployment get 2/3 of what you made before. So if you made $1,000, 2/3 is obviously more than 450, so you'd only get 450. The government put in the additional 600 a week so that there was more money for people if they made more on unemployment. There have been rumors going around that people will just automatically get the $600 a week. That is not true. So people will not make more on unemployment than they made when they were working. So they do have to apply still and show what their income was before. And this is just trying to keep people whole through this time period of where they are not employed. The nice part about this is that hopefully as we come out of it, you can hire people back and they will come off of unemployment. So it's not, according to the federal government, something that should be charged back to the employer. Every state's a little different on that. Idaho has something that they're still deciding how that's going to work. But this is at least a program where the employees have some ability to make more, or at least close to what they would have made when they were employed. One thing to consider on this is if you get the PPP loan, like we talked about just previously, the employees would not be eligible for unemployment during the time that you were paying them with the PPP loan. So if they've been on unemployment, they would come off of that in order to have the PPP loan. Another thing that the government did in the CARES Act was expand the 401k ability to get money out of your 401k. So you can withdraw penalty-free up to $100,000. If you put it back within 3 years, you can actually do it without paying the taxes. So it's almost a loan if you put it back within 3 years. And So you are deferring the taxes for 3 years on that withdrawal. So if you have a balance of $100,000, you can actually pull the whole thing out. There are no they've waived the limitations on what percentages you can pull out, but there is no penalty, and you can defer the taxes. They've also increased the loan size to $100,000. The maximum in any 401k was $100,000, or it was $50,000 before, and they've increased that to $100,000. And they've also, again, removed the barrier that if you only have $100,000, that you can't take the full loan. You can take a loan on the full amount. So they've tried to make it easier for you to be able to get money out, to whether it be to live, keep your business going, whatever you might need to do. So those are a couple of things that you have at your disposal. Go ahead, Teresa. So there's a couple of other programs on tax deferments and credits. So if you do not qualify for the PPP loan, or you don't take the PPP loan, what you can do, and this is not forgiveness, but it is a deferment of your payroll taxes. You can defer your payroll taxes from this year to next year and then the year beyond. So any payroll taxes that you pay this year, you would be able to not have to pay them, and pay 50% of them in 2021, and then the other 50% of them in 2022. But again, it is a deferment. And if you defer them and you cannot pay them because you used all the money, you have to take that into consideration. So this is a program that if you do not have any other option, it is at your disposal, but you should be very careful about it, because it could put you in a bad spot if you don't have that, because they will assess the same penalties and interest for the payroll taxes that they would normally if you didn't pay. Next slide, Teresa. Okay, the next one is the employee retention tax credit. This one is, again, you cannot take and participate in this if you receive a PPP loan. But this one is for anybody that was fully shut down or partially shut down because of the government order, which would be dental practices. And you had a greater than 50% reduction in quarterly receipts. And it's not an and, it's really an or. So if you were in practice still, like you're doing emergency, you're still open, but your receipts are down more than half than your normal quarter, then you can get forgiveness of 50% of the pay for the employees. Now, it is a limit of $10,000 per employee, but what they're looking at is thinking that this is going to last about 3 months. They want to forgive about half of what the average employee would make. So if somebody made $40,000 in a year, they'd be forgiving half of 1 quarter. So the limit's $10,000 wages per an employee, and that would mean you get $5,000 of total forgiveness for that employee. You would take that on your 941 tax payment. And this is eligible for wages between March 13th and the end of the year, December 31st, 2020. So if you have people that come in and let's say they're only working part-time, you can pay the full amount of wage to help them out, but then you can actually get back half the wage. It's a good program if you don't have any other option. I think the PPP program is still a much better program to help get us through this time. So that's the other tax program. Teresa, go ahead. Next slide. So what Lola was saying before she introduced me is that what we have at Ataraxis is we created a company that really is trying to allow our clients to focus on their businesses, and we're going to take care of all the things that as an employer they need to do and what the employees need. So we become the resource for the employees. So if they have questions about anything related to whether it be their pay, their benefits, or PTO, or anything that has been put together, we're going to be able to answer that for them. We're going to take care of them so that they don't have to try to get an answer from whether it be an office manager or do the dentist in the middle of trying to do your job. These are employees are taken care of. So just like you had a full HR department that would do all these things for you in-house, that's what we're doing for our clients. Our goal is really to just help make sure that businesses can focus on their business and maximize their profits and their effectiveness. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is where we say we are the HR department down the hall. Since we're going to act like an HR department and what they do, this is the services we provide. Whether we're the HR department, we do all the payroll processing, we are all the benefits. We have benefits. We can use the benefits that you have. we're going to manage everything. We're going to take care of your workers' compensation, and we also do recruiting and staffing as well. In the event you need help in your dental practice, and maybe you're missing an employee every once in a while, or somebody's sick, we can help you with those things. So we're really here to make sure that you can have the best, most profitable practice possible. And our clients see a higher ROI, faster growth, and then actually lower employee turnover. So that's all we have right now. Lola, I'll turn it back to you. And so here's some of the contact information. But thank you very much again for the opportunity, Lola, to help all your dental practices.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate your time. So we are showing this contact slide again. Please make a note or take a screenshot. If you're watching this webinar, keep this for your records in case you need to reach out to us. Again, my name is Lola Yoshinaga. I work in professional relations, and Kylie works with Steve at Ataraxis. So again, thank you for your time. Thanks for viewing this webinar. We hope that it provided some answers to your questions, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.